Alright, quick update on green Metaverse tokens. So, we're having a plunge today. We're down about 6.5% as of the time of recording this. Since yesterday's video, I believe... No, we weren't per se calling for a move down to the previous all-time high. This price prediction that was on the screen was actually what we were drawing from the previous data. So we pointed out how if we zoom out on the 4-hourly time frame, this entire uptrend that we see on GMT is fully supported by these 4-hourly EMAs. We highlighted how every time we correct, we come down into these 4-hourly EMAs. Every single time we hold it, this whole uptrend is a sea of green on the EMAs that has not flipped red. And with that measurement tool, we were pointing out how, you know, the worst you ever dropped down is 7.5%. So in theory, if we do have to come down below these EMA ribbons, then, you know, 9.5% is retesting your previous all-time high. That is much further than we've ever fallen out of the 4-hourly EMAs. In theory, if we were to remain bullish, then we should come down to here and have a huge bounce. And we've come down. We're not seeing the biggest bounce. I'll come down to the lower time frames in a second, but you can really see we're getting, if I flatten the data here, you can see we're getting a somewhat decent influx of volume on the 4-hourly candles today. In the past 12 hours, we're seeing an influx of the bears taking the momentum away from the bulls, and this is to be expected. The further away you move away from these EMA ribbons, then the worse it's going to get. Now, it is not going to take long for these 4-hourly EMAs to flip bearish. In fact, it may even happen within the next 12 to 24 hours if we're not very careful for GMT. So GMT needs to see a huge reversal at this point, and I'm not really liking what we're seeing right now. If you've been watching my GMT videos, you know that we've been riding this trend for the longest time. We started making GMT videos. We were one of the first YouTubers to start covering GMT when it was down here approximately between the 30 and 40 cent region, and we've literally been riding the 4-hourly EMAs the whole time. I remember, if you go back to my videos before we broke out of $1, I was even somewhat what's the word, I was I thought it may be up for debate whether GMT was going to break above the $1 region, but however, I said, you know, I'll make sure I include a stop loss in my trade so I'm stopped out in profit, but the trend is your friend until the end, and at least so far we're perfectly holding these 4-hourly EMAs. So as long as we don't break them, then there's no reason to fear and there's no reason to jump out of the trend. You can see every time we bottom, every time we have an accumulation phase, it's perfectly supported by the 4-hourly EMAs. So what's happening now? We are landsliding below your EMA ribbons. You can even see we've got a huge M pattern into the EMA ribbons, and then a breakdown. So an M pattern into the breakdown is not really what you want to see. I'll be somewhat conservative on this one. I'm going to draw it to the wick instead of the close down here. I believe that drawing this from the candle body close would be a lot more conservative than pulling it all the way down to the wick down here. So yeah, if we extrapolate the M price target, this would be predicting a move down to $2.78. From the wick that we put down today, that means another 10% flush out from where we are right now. It's only about another 13.5%. So I will keep that right here just in case we do come down to it. It is definitely something to be aware of. Now, one more thing, you can also see this 786 Fibonacci is my stop loss. I really do not want to see GMT come down there. In my opinion, if we re-break below the previous all-time high at this point, I believe we're going to flip bearish. So it's kind of like a we're going to have to see what happens moment. I'm somewhat tempted to put my stop loss up significantly as well, because I really feel like, you know, like I said, we're already somewhat moving the trend down, or we're moving the goalpost for the trend down, because we've moved down quite a lot and we're not seeing the same bounces that we previously did out of these ranges. I mean, bear in mind this was only the 4-hour that came down. I really do think we should be seeing a bigger bounce out of this, in my opinion. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my stop loss up so I'm actually stopped out in a greater profit. I think I'll move it up to, let's draw it up to where the previous candle body closes. So, you know, I really don't think we will, or you know, I don't want to say I don't think we are coming down here, because it is looking like the trend is about to be invalidated. But in my opinion, if the trend is to remain bullish, I do not see something like this happening where we just come down and then reverse. And I'll tell you why. If we come down further today, or if we do it tomorrow, even worse if we do it tomorrow, the worst thing we can do, a lot of people don't, probably might not understand this, but the worst thing you can do right now is accumulate to the side. If you accumulate to the side, your short-term moving averages on your EMA ribbons are going to converge. This is going to fire bearish. That's going to cause a lot of momentum to shift towards the downside. In my opinion, if we come down to this price target down here, we're going to be so low that your EMA ribbons are going to fire bearish. So if we come down to that level anyway, sure, I'll be stopped out of my trade, but in my opinion, the trend will have been breaking bearish, and the trend is your friend till the end. What we're seeing right now is not really akin to what we previously saw before. So if we do come up and we do stop myself out of the trade, I think we got in earlier than this. I think it was at this retest. It was on the retest of the EMAs that had only just loaded in. So yeah, it looks like it was around here, around these wicks. So if we flatten the data, you can see we're up 9.4x if we do come down and stop me out of my trade. That's if we come down and stop me out of my trade. As of the time of recording this, it's a 10x trade that we made on this. However, I'm really holding my bags on this. I'm really a keen proponent of the trend as your friend until the end. I do believe this could be a fake out. However, my gut feeling is that we are going to have a breakdown and we're going to have a momentum shift to the downside. There's a couple of reasons why. Number one, the chart setup. Number two, this has been on a bull run for a very long period of time. Number three, there are tons of move to earn competitors coming out right now trying to take away the spotlight of GMT. Number four, you've got FitFi stepping in, doing exactly what GMT is trying to do, but arguably they're doing it better with the NFT game. Number five, like I said, this whole trend is supported by your 4 hourly EMAs. The worst we've ever had is a 7.5% move below them, and then we had a big rally coming out of them. So there is no reason, in my opinion, why we should have a 10% correction, correct even lower, and then just have a reversal out of nowhere. This would mean that your EMAs have flipped bearish. I personally just don't think if we break back down below the all-time high, we're going to be saved. And, you know, I could put my stop loss just below the previous all-time high, but I'm only keeping it down here just in case we wick and then get out of here. I think a wick and a get out of here moment would be okay, especially if, you know, we could wick down to the previous all-time high, which is technically my stop loss now. But I honestly think the amount of time we've consolidated around the previous all-time high, the fact that we've gone up to your 1.618 and double topped on here is not good at all. And you know, you can argue this is a triple top if you want to include both of these peaks. I'm really lumping these into one macro local top, and I'm lumping these two tiny peaks into one macro local top. So it's not looking good for GMT. We are still in a bull trend, however, the bulls are losing momentum. I imagine if we come down to the 1 hour, we've already flipped bearish. So yeah, really not a good thing what we're seeing here. It was only a couple of hours ago we retested these and got rejected. The bounce that we're seeing right now is getting beaten down by the sellers, and the momentum is in the favor of the bears. Unfortunately, this is what we got to deal with. We have been riding the trend on GMT. I have been checking out some of these other move to earns that I believe have huge potential, so I do recommend you maybe check out my FitFi videos. I believe this is probably one of the more likely ones to go on a huge pop, just like GMT did. So I do cover some move to earn coins, mainly green Metaverse token, green Satoshi token, DFIT and FitFi. Those are the main ones that I'm going to be covering from now on. If you do want me to cover more of these move to earns, the best way to let me know is leave a like and a comment down below. Let me know what you want me to cover. As always, none of this is financial advice. It is just my opinion on the market. Remember, the trend is your friend till the end. The second we break these 4 hourly EMAs, I would be calling for the trend to move to the downside. That is all I've got for you today, guys. Cowboy out, not financial advice, and as always, peace.